Can you believe they had the audacity to show up? After 12 years, a full decade and 2 more, of being completely cut out, ignored, and treated like I was invisible, my entire extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, even my own brother, decided it was finally time to grace me with their presence, and not at some neutral ground. Oh no, they just appeared right there on my doorstep at the custom-built luxury house I poured my heart and soul and every penny I ever earned into creating. They stood there looking at me, then at the house, with a mixture of shock, awe, and frankly, outright entitlement. Was I wrong for the way I reacted? Tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing if you were me? Because I still replay that day in my head, over and over, wondering if there was any other way, any softer approach, but every time I land on the same conclusion. Let me take you back to the beginning to understand just how deep this wound goes. I grew up in a family that, on the surface, seemed idyllic to outsiders. Big gatherings, loud laughter, everyone always together for holidays, birthdays, even just random Sunday dinners. But beneath that shiny veneer, there was always a distinct pecking order, and I, unfortunately, was always at the very bottom. My older brother, Mark, was the golden child. He was charming, athletic, got good grades without trying, and always knew how to work a room. Me, I was the quiet, artistic one, the bookworm who preferred solitude, the kid who was always sketching in a corner instead of playing touch football. I wasn't outwardly rebellious, I just wasn't like them. And because of that, I was constantly overlooked, my achievements downplayed, my presence barely acknowledged. It started subtly, little things. My birthday parties were always smaller, less enthusiastic than Mark's. If I got an A, it was a good job. But if Mark got a B, it was he's so smart, he just needs to apply himself. I brushed it off for years, telling myself it was just sibling rivalry, that all families had their dynamics. But it slowly escalated. When I got into art school, a dream I had worked tirelessly for, saving every penny from my part-time jobs, the reaction was lukewarm at best. Art school? What kind of job are you going to get with that? My Uncle Robert scoffed at Thanksgiving dinner. My parents, instead of defending me, just looked down at their plates. Mark, of course, was lauded for his business degree from a state university, which, while respectable, wasn't nearly as competitive as the art program I'd been accepted into. The true turning point came a few years after I graduated. I had struggled, as many artists do, to make a name for myself. I worked odd jobs, painted commissions, and poured all my free time into developing my unique style, which focused on large-scale, intricate abstract pieces. It was a slow grind, but I was passionate. Mark, meanwhile, had landed a corporate job straight out of college and was quickly climbing the ladder. He bought a nice starter home, a new car, and was constantly praised for his success. Every family gathering became a showcase for Mark. My parents would beam, my aunts and uncles would gush, and I would sit there, invisible, my efforts dismissed with a polite, "Oh, still doing your painting, dear." It was soul-crushing. The final straw came with my cousin Sarah's wedding. Sarah and I had been close as kids, or so I thought. We shared secrets, dreamed about our futures, and she was the one person in the family who sometimes seemed to actually see me. I was so excited when she announced her engagement. I even started designing a custom art piece as a wedding gift, something truly personal. Then the invitations went out. Everyone received one. My parents, Mark, all my aunts and uncles, even distant cousins I barely knew. Everyone except me. I waited and waited, checking the mail every day. Nothing. I tried to tell myself it was an oversight. So I called Sarah. Her voice was strained when she answered, "Oh, hey, look about the wedding. We're keeping it small, just close family, you know. Small." My entire extended family was going, dozens of people. I pressed her gently, my heart sinking. "Sarah, am I not considered close family?" There was a long silence, then a hesitant look. Mark said, "He mentioned you were really busy with your art, and he didn't want us to bother you. And my mom just thought, you know, with your unconventional lifestyle, maybe it wouldn't be your scene." Mark. It was always Mark. He had actively orchestrated my exclusion, and the rest of the family, including my own cousin, had gone along with it. That was it. That was the day I decided I was done. Done trying, done hoping, done being a doormat. I didn't say anything, I just hung up. I didn't go to the wedding. I didn't send a gift. I didn't call anyone. And for 12 long years, they didn't call me either. Not for holidays, not for birthdays, not for funerals, not for anything. It was a complete and utter blackout. My parents would occasionally send a text message, usually just a generic "hope you're well," never asking to see me, never inviting me anywhere. I would respond politely, but I stopped initiating contact. I poured all that pain, all that rejection into my art. I worked harder than ever, found a niche in corporate art installations, and slowly but surely, my reputation grew. My work started getting noticed by gallerists, then by collectors. My prices climbed. I invested wisely, bought property, and eventually, after years of meticulous planning and saving, I purchased a prime piece of land and designed my dream home. It was a sanctuary, a testament to my resilience, a place where I felt truly seen and valued, even if only by myself. It was modern, sleek, filled with natural light, and showcased my art perfectly. My art career had truly blossomed. I was traveling, exhibiting in major cities, and my name was becoming synonymous with innovative abstract design. I had built a life, a beautiful life, completely independent of the family who had cast me aside. I had found my own chosen family friends, colleagues, fellow artists who celebrated my successes and supported me through challenges. The old wounds were still there, faint scars, but they didn't dictate my present anymore. I had moved on, thriving in my own world. So, that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, living this incredible life I had built from nothing, and suddenly they appeared. Unannounced, uninvited, on my perfectly manicured driveway, looking at my luxury house like it was some kind of mirage. My brother Mark was there, my parents, my aunts and uncles, even my cousin Sarah, the one who had told me my unconventional lifestyle wouldn't fit in at her wedding. They were all there, staring, gaping, whispering amongst themselves, clearly stunned by what they saw. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Seriously, put yourself in that moment. After all that history, all that neglect, what would your immediate, gut reaction be? I stood there, on my porch, holding a coffee mug, still reeling from the shock of seeing them. They looked so out of place, like ghosts from a past I had meticulously buried. My mother was the first to speak, her voice hesitant. "Son, is that really you?" As if I had dramatically altered my appearance. Mark, ever the alpha, stepped forward, a smirk playing on his lips, though his eyes were wide with surprise. "Well, well, look at you, mister. Big shot. Fancy digs." There was no apology, no explanation for their sudden presence. Just that familiar, dismissive tone. It infuriated me. 12 years of silence, of feeling like a forgotten relic, and now they just show up, expecting what, exactly? A warm embrace, a tour of the estate. I took a deep breath, letting the cool morning air fill my lungs, trying to calm the storm raging inside me. My voice, when I spoke, was steady, almost eerily calm. "Can I help you?" The question hung in the air, blunt and unwelcoming. My father shuffled his feet. We were just in the neighborhood. Thought we'd drop by and say hello. In the neighborhood, I raised an eyebrow. My house is a good hour's drive from where any of you live. You didn't just drop by. You made a concerted effort to find me. The silence that followed was thick with unspoken truths. We heard you were doing well." My Aunt Carol finally ventured, her eyes still scanning the impressive architecture of my home, lingering on a large sculpture in my front yard that had recently been featured in an art magazine. "Heard from whom?" I pressed, my gaze sweeping across their faces, landing on Mark. He averted his eyes. "Oh, just, word gets around," my mother stammered. "We're so proud of you, son. This is incredible." The word proud felt like a knife twist. Proud, after all this time? Where was their pride when I was struggling, when I was pouring my heart into something they deemed worthless? Proud? I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. Where was this pride 12 years ago? Where was it when I was trying to make a living as an artist and you all just dismissed me? Where was it when I wasn't invited to Sarah's wedding because my unconventional lifestyle wasn't appropriate? Sarah flinched, her cheeks coloring. Mark finally met my gaze, a flicker of defiance in his eyes. "Come on, it wasn't like that. We just thought you were too busy for us. Too busy to be invited to a family wedding." I shot back, my voice rising slightly. "Too busy to even get a phone call, an email, a text message for 12 years. The truth is, you didn't care. You didn't think I was worth your time, your attention, or even a moment's thought. You wrote me off." My parents started to protest. "That's not fair, son." But I cut them off. "Not fair? You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I spent years feeling like an outcast, while Mark was always celebrated? Is it fair that you stood by and let him orchestrate my exclusion?" My gaze hardened. "I built this. Every single brick, every single brushstroke, every single late night working to make my dreams a reality. I did it without any of you. I did it despite you." I gestured broadly at my home, at the life I had meticulously crafted. "This isn't word getting around. This is a direct consequence of you seeing my name in a prominent magazine or hearing about my success from someone else. And now that you see I'm successful, you suddenly want back in." There was a collective intake of breath from the group. "That's a bit harsh," my father mumbled. "No," I said, my voice resonating with an authority I hadn't possessed years ago. "It's the truth. And the truth is, I don't owe any of you anything. Not a conversation, not an explanation, and certainly not an invitation into my home." I watched their faces fall, the entitlement quickly replaced by a dawning realization that this wasn't going to go the way they had planned. Mark, for once, looked genuinely stunned. My mother started to tear up. "But we're family," she choked out. "Family is supposed to support each other," I replied, my voice unwavering. "Family is supposed to be there for each other, through thick and thin. You weren't there for me when it was thin. You celebrated my absence." I pointed towards the street. "You found my house. You came uninvited. I am now asking you to leave." My words were definitive, leaving no room for argument. There was a moment of awkward silence, a few hesitant glances exchanged among them. My Aunt Carol tried one last plea. "But can't we just talk? Catch up?" "There's nothing to catch up on," I said firmly. "The bridge was burned, and you all held the match. I've moved on, and frankly, I prefer the peace and quiet." I watched as they slowly, reluctantly, turned and started walking back towards their cars, parked haphazardly along my street. My mother lingered for a moment, looking back at me with tear-filled eyes, as if expecting me to relent. I didn't. I just stood there, watching them go, a strange mix of triumph and sadness washing over me. They drove away, their vehicles disappearing down the winding road, and the silence that descended was a welcome comfort. The aftermath was exactly as I expected. A flurry of texts and emails from my parents, trying to apologize, trying to explain, trying to guilt-trip me. I responded to none of them. Mark also sent a text, a surprisingly brief one that simply said, "Touché." I never saw or heard from any of them again, not in person. My chosen family, the friends who had been there for me, celebrated my strength and resolution. They understood why I did what I did, and they never questioned it. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to cut ties with those who drain your energy and dim your light. It's a hard lesson, but an essential one for self-preservation. My life continued to flourish, unburdened by the weight of their expectations or their manufactured approval. I felt a profound sense of liberation. The luxury house wasn't just a house. It was a monument to my independence, a fortress against past hurts, and a canvas for my future. It was a place where I was finally free to be myself, without judgment or condescension. So, that's my story. It's been a long journey, filled with unexpected turns and hard-won victories. In the end, I chose myself, my peace, and my truth. I don't regret it. Like this video, if you were on my side, if you understand why I had to do what I did. Subscribe for more stories like this, where real people share their raw, unedited experiences. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I handle it correctly? Would you have been as unforgiving? I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives. I'll see you all in the next story.